Good morning. Today is March 23rd. It's 8:15 in the morning, and let's take a look at the markets. You can see behind me, I have my big board. Overnight, the indexes really jumped up. It was about this morning, and you can see they jumped up like crazy. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq real quick. We'll just zoom in. Let's maximize this sell a bit, and you can see overnight at around 7 a.m. it just spiked up. We were on this downtrend since Wednesday, and an incredible move. We spiked up to almost 20. What is this? 24.75, which you could see is at the top of this value area where we stopped. Big wicks over here, pushing us right back down to the 24.5 level. So we're up 1% overnight since we closed last week. But you can see, look at this dip. This was a very strong, crazy dip. So I'm not really trusting it yet. We have to see what's going on. I do like that we made it back up to this level, though. I'm hoping that we could keep and we can hold this 24.5 level. Let's see. This is on the 30-minute chart. Let's open it up a little bit wider to the 1 hour, and you could see, yeah, we've been dipping down into this level, picking up orders, coming right back up to the level over here, 25,000. So I'm expecting us to rocket in between here in these levels. That would make a lot of sense for us to do. So let's see. We're going to go back. Let's check some of the other indexes. Let's look at the S&P as well and see how the S&P is performing. And I am looking at about the same thing here, it looks like. But we've had on the S&P, it's been on a terrible downtrend. Look at this trail down. So it's not been as strong as the Nasdaq. We've really been losing ground. Although you can see we're picking up orders down here and pushing back up to here. The S&P came back to this 6750 level. So I'm gonna say that I don't think we are reversing out of here just yet. This was a sentimental spike based on some good news, probably to do with the war. But we're back at the bottom of this value area, which is better than down here, because if we were down here, it was pretty scary that we could continue dropping. Just to compare, let's take a look at SPY, because a lot of people trade SPY. And you can see again here, we were all the way up here, almost near 700, and now we're back down here to 640. We just had a little bit of a dividend, so that's nice. And if we zoom out on the year, you could see this. Look at this curl. And this was my concern, is that we have this very long trend. You can see this blue line that I drew out. But this purple line, about 120 point drop, is what we've done in other previous wars. So my concern is that this is what we see as well. If you zoom out here on the weekly, you could see when Betty White died, we had a 120 point fall. With the tariffs, we had a 120 point fall. We keep getting these big falls down to a level of support, down to some level of support. I would assume us then to come down to this like 620 level, which would be very scary. That's like another 30 point that would move down. So far, we're holding over here at the 650 level. So this is a little bit of a concern that if we don't hold this level, there is this big value area gap until the bottom of this value area here, which is around 572. So we want to make sure that we don't fall too far more from here. If you are, we're not trading positive, we're trading on the down on that. But so far, this morning, it's looking a little bit better. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other indexes. We have the Dow. Let's open up the Dow and take a quick look at the Dow. Again, the Dow looks very similar in performance to the other indexes. Again, just like the S&P, we're on a downtrend. And this is the difference between the S&P and the Nasdaq and the Dow. S&P tends to go along with both the Dow and the Nasdaq. It's kind of caught in between the two. And you could see, we broke above this downtrend line, which is good. We're at the bottom of this value area, which means that we should be able to see, let's say, 47.5 on a good day. We did spike up to 47.2. So I'm going to say, I'm going to hope that our range is around here, around this 46.5 level, and up to this 47.5 level. We're up 800 points already, 1.75% on the day. It's a big move. So let's see if we can hold this. That would be really good. If we can hold this, then we have potential for the turnaround. If not, you know where it's going. Let's take a look at the Russell. Same thing as what? Does it look the same? We have that same sort of curling that we had on the S&P on the daily. On the 1 hour, you could see again, we're on this downtrend. We've been going sideways since the past couple weeks, coming down for these dips, filling orders, coming right back up. And, you could see it spiked up to about 25.76, 25.75, right to the top of this level here where all the other orders were filled. So you could see it's playing around in this band of meat, so to speak. And that's what I would expect. You could see somewhere between here and somewhere between here today if it holds. Quickly, let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up at 70,400 again. It slipped to like 68,000 over the weekend, and I was a little bit concerned that this morning we wouldn't be opening up positive. But just like the other indexes, we're doing the same sort of moves. We're up mildly, about 0.4% so far today. I would expect to see maybe a level of around 72,000 on the top side, a little bit less actually. On the bottom side, got to be careful because around 69,500, you start to see this this gap, and there may be a gap fill if it tries to go down to the 69,000 level again. That would be a concern. If we can hold this 70,000 level, maybe we have the reversal. And on the hourly, I thought we were doing better. So you can see we come down here into the the high 60s, low 70s to fill the orders that were outstanding, and then it's gonna come back up to the top. I wouldn't be surprised if later in this week we see 75,000 again. All right, let's take a look at some other indexes. And I believe that the Solana is gonna, and Ethereum, they're all gonna perform similarly. Let's take a look at the Euro real quick. Euro had a nice bounce. Also, it was real low, 1.15, back up to here to this 1.16. The move, it's complete. I don't see it moving back up to the 1.8 level, not until after the war, at least. So for now, I think we're going to be bouncing around these levels here. If you could pick it up in the low 1.15 range and get rid of it at around 1.164, you can play the levels and you can actually make some money here. But you got to be patient. And the one problem with the the futures on the currency like euro, it moves very slow, but then has sudden spikes, so it's hard to trade. And you have to have a lot of patience because it takes time. Let's take a look at copper. Copper is working a little bit differently than some of the other metals. I noticed overnight they were not as affected as gold, silver, and platinum. Moving up, actually, they're up 1%, whereas the other metals are down. They're still at the bottom of this value area, so I would love to see them come back up to this 6. And we will. It's going to take time. This is the daily chart, but we will. There's just a shortage of copper for industrial production. So if this trend is correct, and you look at this weekly trend, we are just on a straight up line. It's just going to take time to work out. So if you can sit there and hold copper, this is still a good time to accumulate copper for the future. Let's take a look at gold. Gold on the 15-minute. It's a very similar story. We fell really hard. I'm not really sure what's going on with gold. 4,100 was the bottom. We've recovered somewhat to about 4,400. We're still down 4% though. The good thing is on the hourly, we're back above this trend line. That's a good sign. But again, we're at the top of this mini value area, which is actually concerning because we're far below here. So I'm looking for a spike back up to the 5,000s. I don't know when it's going to happen. Let's zoom out a little bit. You can see this was a crazy, crazy heartbeat. You had this big spike up, big spike down. We did set a new low and we have a lower high. So I don't really love this chart, to be honest. I'm in gold. I'm long gold. But this is a little bit like scary. It could just be a bull flag on a really big basis, but this pullback is, I don't like it. Yeah. I don't know. I got to think about what I'm going to do. I might get out of my gold position. Right now, I'm just going to hold. I think it'll come back. I really do. It's too scarce of a commodity, whatever. I think this is just the war playing out, and it's giving people an opportunity to load up on gold for the future. Let's go back to one of the other metals and take a look at what's going on today. But, if we can get back up here to the 4,700 level on gold, I think that would be on the high side here. 4,730 is where I think it could go on a rebound. I would love to see 5,000 later this week. Silver's a very similar story. It looks like you got this downtrend, went to the bottom of this value area. It's filling orders back here that didn't get filled before, and it's going to come back up to the 90s. If you can tolerate it, I would be loading up on SLV. So let's take a look at oil. Dumped $91 a barrel, down 7%. And again, news on the war. Natural gas dumped under $3. This is an interesting place to buy if you're playing levels. Let's take a look at natural gas real quick. You can see that it spiked up here with the war. It came down here now that it's settling back out. And if you look all the way out on the daily, you can see that, yeah, it probably belongs at around this 2.9 level. So it might not be a terrible place down here under 2.9. Pick up some natural gas and just wait and wait. But because you could see, it could take a month or more, but it may come back to this $4 level. It could take 3 months, 1, 2, 3 months here, 4 months, and it came back up to this $4 level. That's a really big move, and if you can tolerate the swing, it could be very lucrative. Actually, it's a lucrative swing. Let's take a look at oil real quick. Oil this morning, yeah, it came down. It's at the bottom of the value area. Interesting place to buy, but I think we're really high. And once this war is over, you don't know what's going to happen. Oil may just dump back down to the 60s again because it's too expensive. It's driving the price of everything up, and I don't think we want oil that expensive at the moment. That's more of a political thing. So let's take a look now at the market sectors. The market sectors, I see nothing brilliant yet. We'll take a look in deeper level at another point. Let's take a look at the currencies. And you can see on the currencies, we've got pretty much bullish waves over here on the left side. Nice movement recovery with the Brazilian real. It's up almost 1%. The British pound is up about 0.5%, and you can see again it's back at the top of the value area. here on the real, we're at the bottom of the value area. Japan is trying to recover. It's looking like it has the that range set as well, and the South African rand is up 1.5% actually today. It's an interesting trade. Um, where I see opportunity, you're going to look for something at the bottom of the value area and try to ride it up. But I don't have anything that I want to play today on the currencies just yet. Usually I end up playing with the euro a lot, and I like to buy somewhere down here around 1.5 and 1/6, which we looked at earlier in more detail. All right, so that takes care of some of the indexes, and we can take a look at some individual stock positions. I have on my watch list a bunch of positions. I'm going to go into them in more detail possibly later, but we're going to look for things that have positive momentum. And in my chart, I will explain in greater detail as well how I use my columns, what they mean, and how they can help detect changes in direction and momentum. That's it for today. Thank you very much, and have a great day and a great week trading.